Hey guys, this is gonna be a beginner's guide for the game Reverse1999. So the first thing that you will ever do, right when you log in, as in every game, you will progress the story as much as you can and as fast as you can. Because by doing so, you will unlock yourselves more content and very important things, and you want to unlock them as fast as you possibly can. For example, you want to unlock these daily tasks here, these daily activeness, because you want to start doing them every single day as fast as possible to obtain yourselves as much clear drops as you possibly can. You want to do this every single day, and every single day you will unlock yourself some clear locks. Of course, you will have these beginner missions here called Beginning of the Tale. They will lead you through the game and show you some things, like dive a little bit into everything, so to speak. You will also have a very good tutorial when it comes to battling, like in-game. When you battle, there will be a pretty solid tutorial that will tell you a lot about how to battle. Additionally, of course, you will also unlock yourself the character Sonetto. You will unlock yourself DK, I think, by simply logging in for 1 week. Those are gonna be your 6-star characters, and you definitely want to use these characters to progress the story further, right? You will use the best characters available to yourself. Those will always be your 6-stars, like a good early game team is, for example, Sonetto, right? You will unlock yourself this character here, DK. You definitely want to use her. Another character I can recommend, and that I know everyone has her early, is Le Sauce. That would be a pretty solid healer for your team at the very beginning. And with these characters, you will progress the story as fast and as much as you can. Now you are kind of locked behind a stamina. You will have a stamina in this game, this one right here. We call this activity, and you will get what we call candy to increase your daily activity, and you always want to make use of that to again progress the story and fulfill the quests as fast as you possibly can. Of course, at some point you're gonna get stuck and you can't progress further. But very important, like remember, let's say, hey, you were in chapter 1 of the story, you just cleared stage number 12, and now you don't have any stamina anymore, right? You use this candy that I just showed you, and you will at least try to beat the next stage. Progress, right? You don't necessarily have to clear them on hard mode, but you want to progress. That is the most important part. You progress, and then if you want, or yeah, you kind of have to, come back here later to then later clear these stages on hard mode. But first, you want to make sure that you progress, and then you unlock yourself additional gameplay modes, like the daily activity, the weekly activity, and the artificial somnambulism, this one right here, because this will unlock your limbo stages and you will have to progress. This more on that later though. That is not exact, that is like mid game, not exactly early game. So now you have to establish how to use your stamina as efficient as possible, and this is always gonna be the quests of Beginning of a Tale and the daily activity, plus progressing in a story. After that, like let's say, hey, I have stamina to spend, but I'm stuck in the story, I can't progress, so where would I go then, right? In every single patch, in every single version, as we call them, we have an event. This one right here, you go, you enter, and you have here also a storyline. You progress this as much as you can to unlock yourself additional unilocks, clear drops is what we call them. This is the most important resource in the entire game, and this is what the game is all about. Clear drops, right? Those ones right here. You will go to the shop and you can spend your clear drops to build unilogs. And these unilogs, this is the final resource that you summon your characters with. And that is the most important part in this game. But again, your stamina is used, first of all, for the story, fulfill the quests of beginning of a tale and your daily activities. Then you go to this event, you progress as fast as possible. If there is another event, you do this, you progress as fast as possible. This is a rerun event here. Clearing this will also give you access to clear drops. And those are the most important part when it comes to the early game. Of course, at some point, if you're gonna get stuck, then you will have to upgrade your characters. You will have to level them up, their level, and they have something called insight. So yeah, you click on level, you will need dust and sharpodonty. You're just gonna level them up to max level. And then you have to upgrade their insight. And here you can see that you need a bunch of different resources. And in case, hey, you see, I missed this one right here. And if I now, this one here, and if I click on this resource right now, the game will tell me where to go to be able to obtain this resource. Then I click on go and I clear this stage right there. Once you have beaten the stage once, you can just go for autoplay and you can do them like 2, 3, 4 times at a time. So yeah, that you don't have to play this over and over and over again. You can just let the game clear it for you and make it so that you are able to obtain your resource. Now, of course, when you go to resource, you will see those are the most important stages here. Once you are completely stuck and you can't progress any of the story any further, and you will need the resources to upgrade your characters and make them stronger. Then you go here to the tab called resource, right? You go here to enter the show. You click on that. You see the tab resource, and then you have two different stages here called the Poussière and Mintage Aesthetics. You click on those, and here you will also have to progress through 6 stages, and you want to do this as early and as fast as possible, and you clear those to obtain the resource dust, and you will need this to be able to upgrade your characters. You want to clear this one here, the Poussière, to obtain yourself dust, and you will also need Sharpodonty, and that will make it so that you will have to clear Mintage Aesthetics. Make sure that, let's say you have 100 stamina, you spend 50 stamina on the Poussière and then 50 stamina to Mintage Aesthetics, to maintain kind of a balance between these two, because yeah, you will always need both of those resources to be able to upgrade your characters. Alright, so we now know how to spend our stamina, right? Story, quests, and then these events right here. If you are stuck with everything, you go to the tab resource and you clear. You see what kind of resources you need to be able to upgrade your characters inside right there. You click on this material, you go to the stage, you clear the stage until you have obtained the resources that you are after, as much as you possibly need, and then you go ahead and upgrade the inside. Now this goes a little bit further, and in order to do this right, you have to gain a little bit of knowledge. More on that in a second. But let me tell you something that you can see if you look at your character. Let's take La Source as an example. You will see, well, yeah, she deals a little bit of damage. Her main thing is she's gonna be a healer for your team. So she belongs to the archetype healer. You have 4 spots in your team. You will use 4 characters in your team, and each of these spots, they will have to be filled with a character from a specific archetype. You have your main DPS, you have your sub DPS, you have your support, and you have your healer. More on that in just a minute. But you will have to be careful, because you never want to upgrade any character besides your main DPS. You always only want to upgrade the character that is available to yourself that does the most amount of damage. in your team. And this is the only character that you actually level up to level 60 and get her to Insight 3. A character like Source that is here to heal your team, or a supporter, or your sub-team, even your sub-DPS in some cases. Hold back and only get them to level 50 Insight 2. Don't upgrade these kind of characters to Insight 3. You only do Insight 3 for your main DPS character, for the character that deals the most amount of damage in your team. That is the only character that you upgrade to Insight 3 and level 60. For the others, you will stop early and you will save your resources for better characters later on. Okay, now that we have established we're gonna clear the story, we're gonna clear the quests, we know how to upgrade our characters, we know where and how to find the resources and what stages to clear in what order, etc. It is time to talk about the number one most important thing in this game, and this will be a little bit difficult and complicated at first, because you will have to obtain yourselves a whole bunch of knowledge before you ever spend your Unilogs to summon characters. And let me go into a lot of detail as to why this is, how this works, and what kind of knowledge you have to obtain before you ever summon even with one Unilog. You know, you have to go through this process as soon as possible, and even as a beginner, this is like a day 2, day 3 thing. You have to do this research and obtain yourself the knowledge. And why is that? Why should you obtain all this knowledge and do kind of a deep dive into teams, into characters and all that jazz? That is because you are playing a gacha game, and what you have to understand about a gacha game is that these resources and summoning for characters, that is the number one most important part in this game. And you have to understand what the good characters are, how to build the best teams in the game, and especially as a beginner, early on, you have to play the meta. Otherwise, you will not have fun and you will struggle clearing the content efficiently, and this will burn you out, and eventually you're gonna stop playing the game, and or you go on Reddit and be like, oh, this game is pay to win, I didn't know anything what I'm doing, this game sucks, you know, that kind of stuff. And you don't want to be, no one ever wants to be a person like that. And to prevent you from that, first of all, you're gonna establish yourself 3 teams. That is a little bit of future planning, but it is very, very, very important to do this. Nothing is more important than this, because you will face the hardest content in the game. This is a gameplay mode that you will unlock called Reveries in the Rain. And in this mode here, stages will require you to have 3 different teams. For example, this also counts like in the early to mid game with this limbo, with this artificial somnambulism. You will have here 2 stages. And every single character that you use in stage 1 will not be available for you to use on stage 2. This is why you have to have 2 teams in the early to mid game. And then, as I just said, later, for the most important content in the game, Reveries in the Rain, you will even need 3 teams. That it is, and again, like another thing. Why this is so important early on is because you have access to all the possible clear drops and unilogs in this game. You have the entire story, right? I cleared this. I already got the resources. I already got all these clear drops and unilogs from the story, and I already used them. They are not available to me anymore. But you have all of this. You have the story. You have your reflections. You get the unilogs from the resource stages, from the inside stages, from the 3 doors. Like, you know what I mean? Every single clear drop and unilog that is obtainable in the game is available to you. You will, once you cleared a whole bunch of content, most of the content, you will have resources available to you, like more than anyone else who has already cleared the content, right? So this is why the beginning of the game is so crucial, because you have more resources available to you than you will have in the future and moving forward. Because again, you have all this content still free up to clear, and all the resources are there for you to gather them. And emphasis on this, you have to spend these resources right from the get-go as perfect as you can possibly be. And you can only accomplish that if you have the knowledge and you know how to build a team and what characters are good. Now, before we dive a little bit more into what the meta is, what characters are the best characters and how to build a team, let me tell you a little bit about the characters themselves. So, let me go into a battle actually. Let me go here. Now, if you face a battle, right, there's a little bit of information here about what kind of enemies do you have, and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is also very, very important to read to understand the mechanics of the fight. And every fight there will be, in a lot of stages in this game, there will be a deep strategy that you will have to understand and fulfill in order to clear that stage. But what I want to talk about here is this natural Afflatus and primal Afflatus. That is only like, it is very important. It is the second most important thing when it comes to building your teams and clearing content efficiently. So we have, first of all, 4 different elements. We call them Afflatuses. So we have 4 natural Afflatuses. We have beast, plant, star and mineral. And you can see right here that characters from the beast Afflatus, they deal 30% more damage to characters from the plant Afflatus. And then plant Afflatus characters do that to star characters, star characters do this to mineral, and mineral does this to beast characters. That is very, very important when it comes to team building, because first of all, when you build your team, you're gonna choose a character, like a high tier character, right? Something that is meta, that you want to build your team around. And then you go ahead and you do the research. What kind of characters do you have to pair with this character to play this character that you choose to the maximum efficiency? But there's also another very important thing, and that is exactly this Afflatus. So let's say, hey, I choose a plant Afflatus as my main DPS, and this is the character I'm gonna build my team around. Then I can see that the beast Afflatus is actually very effective against my plant Afflatus team. So naturally I'm gonna struggle in stages where my enemies would be from the beast Afflatus. And that is why you want to build your second team around a character that is from the mineral Afflatus. Because again, your first team will struggle on stages where characters are from the beast Afflatus. And this is then, when you struggle against the beast Afflatus, you can put in your second team for that stage that is from the mineral Afflatus, and they will obliterate the beast Afflatus, you know? That's how you build your first this is how you should build your first 2 teams. Of course, more important is the archetype that the character belongs to and the team building. I will dive into this a little bit more in detail soon. Then we also have 2 primal Afflatuses, which is the Spirit Afflatus and the Intellect, those counteract just each other. It is also pretty good to build one of your 3 teams around a character from one of those Afflatuses, because they will never have a weakness against natural Afflatuses. They will always be like on equal footing, right? They only counteract themselves. You will never be very efficient against one Afflatuses, but you can also play one of the primal Afflatuses into every single natural Afflatuses, because you will never suffer the weakness. Okay. The next thing I want to explain to you is what an archetype is, because that is where team building comes into fruition and into the game. Like, you have to understand team building, and in order for you to understand how team building works, you have to understand what archetype a character belongs to. Now, let me first of all tell you that we have a luxury here in this game, because we have 2 versions. We have the Chinese version and we have our global version. Now, the Chinese version is pretty far ahead of the global version, and this is a tremendously huge advantage for us players on global, because we can always look and we can always go and create ourselves a Chinese account and see things for ourselves. We can also every time look at the Chinese players, what they do on their versions. They get access to characters like way earlier than we do. So we are in version 2.6, while the Chinese version is already heading into version 3.0. So they are very, very far ahead. And we can not only look at what they are doing, and they are testing the characters and they are figuring everything out, and we on global can then profit from this knowledge that they already gained. Now, you have to be very, very careful if you look at this kind of information, because a lot of this information is misinformation and very, very flawed, because not everyone understands this game to a crisp, and characters will be misjudged. This happens time and time again, every time it happens, right? So you want to go out and look at these characters for yourselves and figure them out by yourself to ensure 100% you never run into one of these flawed misinformation kind of things. You can only look at, let me say it like that, what other people tell you for a little bit of a blueprint, But I mean, there are content creators out there that give you very crazy misinformation, right? There are many, many examples I could give you, but that is not what this video is about. So the point is that you gotta go out there and you gotta look at what are actually the best teams. The 2 best teams are crystal clear, they are set in stone, and no one can disagree with this. If we look ahead to version 2.8, which will be the 2nd anniversary, anniversaries are always very, very important and very, very crucial, and they will have a huge power spike when it comes to characters that they release. So we should always save we should always save all our resources moving into this 2nd anniversary, because the characters there, they will obviously be stronger than everything else. And we're gonna get access to a new archetype called Blood Ember. There's gonna be 4 characters in there. It's gonna be Nautica, Eternity, Semmelweis with her Euphoria, and Ezra or Medicine Pocket. So this would be one team. Then we have the Dynamo archetype with Lucy, Muldir, Ulrich, and also probably gonna be Ezra there. And the point that I'm making is that you have to look at one of the top 4, top 5 teams, see what characters belong into these teams, see if there is any character you would like in particular, and then go ahead and try to establish this team for yourself so that you have a team ready for you that is one of the best teams in the game. That ensures you will not only crush it right now, but also be future proof. And you gotta check all these 4, 5, 6 teams out, see what kind of playstyle, what kind of archetype you like, and or which characters maybe you like out of these characters in the top 4 best teams. I have prepared a screenshot to not leave you like completely lost when it comes to these archetypes, right? Those are here the 6 best teams in the game in version 2.8. So this is very future proof. Now this is only a blueprint and the list is not complete. For example, for the Fua team, that's the follow-up attack team, you could also include a character like Liang Yue, for example, or for the impromptu team, you could include Regulus there. So yeah, take this as a good blueprint, right? Even though there are some characters, 2 or 3 that are missing here, but those are the teams that you should focus on and that you should try to build heading forward. Preferably, like most optimally, you have 3 teams of those ready in after version 2.8 concludes. That would be the very best possible scenario for you, but it's probably not gonna happen. So see that you try to build 2 of those teams. Of course, there are also characters like Mrs. Bubble and Anionala and Kakania that are very versatile, and you can use them as substitute in case you would miss a character for a team in most cases. Like for example, you could use Kakania in the poison team instead of like Jessica, maybe even instead of Sotheby. That would not be recommended, but maybe it could work for you, you know, stuff like this. But yeah, there are examples like the impromptu team where you cannot put any other character in than those that you see on your screen, and yeah, maybe Regulus instead of Voyager, but that's going to be about that. So you see the characters here, you see the top 6 archetypes, and those are the characters that you should be aiming at and trying to get. Of course, like follow my channel and I will do updates the more information comes to light, you know. For example, I already mentioned that I did a kit breakdown for the newest character Sentinel that we will get in version 3.0, so I will keep you up to date, and yeah, you will never miss out on any information or like anything for that matter when it comes to Reverse 1999. Another good information I can give you real quick is that you have to be aware that sometimes these archetypes overlap. Muldia is a very good example. Now what she does is she provides a whole bunch of ultimate might to your entire team, so that their ultimates will do more damage. That would normally mean that she belongs to the ultimate archetype and not to the dynamo archetype. But in this very specific case here, in this dynamo archetype, Lucy's new Euphoria update makes it so that she profits from ultimate might with her basic incantations. And that's why Muldia is actually the best in slot and should be played in a dynamo team, even though if you would look at just the character Muldia, you would definitely say, hey, she definitely belongs to the ultimate archetype, right? But you have to always look at the full picture and understand the teams as a whole and not character just individually. That is also very important, and Muldia is the best example when it comes to that. That just real quick. Now we can continue with the video and then go ahead and build these teams. Now of course that is a little bit of future music, but it is still very important to listen to it, because you have to have a long-term plan. Now for your short-term plan, if you are stuck with the story and upgrading your characters doesn't really do it for you anymore, and you need good characters like right now, then again there are characters. You have 4 slots in your team again. Your main DPS, your sub DPS, a support and a healer, and by far the most important slot out of those 4 is your main DPS. You always want to make sure that you obtain yourselves at least 2, I would recommend even 3 main DPS characters, and those will be the characters that you build your team around, right? This is why, like, do your research on what main DPS characters you should actually obtain. But like for your very first pulls, and how do you start off with this? Is you go to summon right here. You go to summon and you will be faced with like a bunch of different banners is what we call them, and you will have to choose what banner you put how many resources into, and you always want to commit to only one banner. The banner that you should commit to most of the times is this one right here, the ripples on the water banner, for multiple reasons. If you look at a regular banner, this one right here, we have the character Aleph that is featured here at the moment, right? These banners, they will change. They will change after a certain amount of time. You can see for this banner here in particular, time left 11 days, 15 hours, 7 minutes. And then this banner will be gone and you won't have a chance anymore to obtain yourself the character Aleph. So what those banners are about is that you do 7 10 pulls. That means you spend 70 unilogs. Those ones right here. And then you have a 50% chance to either obtain yourself Aleph or another 6-star character that is in this banner, right? There are a lot of 6-star characters here in this banner that you can obtain. So the point is you have a 50% chance to obtain Aleph once you have spent 70 unilogs. That is of course pretty expensive, because if you look at the fact that there's only a 50% chance that you obtain this character, then you are faced with a risk, and if you get unlucky you will not obtain Aleph and you will have to pull more. Now to obtain this character with a 100% guaranteed, you will have to spend 140 unilogs, and this is where the issue arrives. And this is where the ripples on the water banner comes in clutch and is the most beneficial banners for new players. Why? Because not only, as you can see, you have a selection of characters here. You can choose characters, specifically the one that you would want. You are not bound to only obtain this one character here. That is the first advantage. And you are 100% guaranteed to obtain the character of your choosing if you pulled 7 10 pulls, right? 70 unilogs, you guaranteed to get the character that you want. So this is the banner that you usually want to pull on. Now the problem here occurs is that if there is not a viable, a top tier main DPS character in this banner, then you should not pull on this banner. It's really as easy as that. And you can see like Shamani is not a meta character, is not doing too hot. You would not want to obtain this. This is not where you want to spend your resources on. Then Medicine Pocket is a healer. That's also not what you want to spend your resources on. First, you want to obtain yourself main DPS characters, at least 2, recommended is 3. Then Melania is only a sub DPS. Eternity is only a sub DPS. Voyager, very very specific team that you have to build around her, is only a sub DPS. So in this very specific case, you should probably not pull, or you should in fact not pull on this banner. So, like, right, it depends, right? This changes depending on what characters are available to you at the time that you watch this video and at the time that you create your account, more importantly. Right now, I would recommend, highly recommend to you, not pulling on any of those banners whatsoever, because Aleph, support, 2 fairy, healer. those are all not main DPS characters as well. And yeah, here you would have a main DPS character with Semmelweis. But again, if you do your research and you plan into the future, then you will know that Semmelweis will change her role from the main DPS to the sub DPS in version 2.8 on the 2nd anniversary. So it is highly recommended not to pull for her as well. And this is where discipline and patience are required, because if you are stuck and you can't progress, then it is highly tempting to obtain yourself a better character to then progress. But absolutely don't do this. Like, chill, wait. It gives you even more time to do a little bit more research and to become more confident and more accurate in the knowledge that you acquire. And it will save you a ton of resources, and it is very important to build your account, especially in the beginning. Like, I always like the example of looking at, when you build your account, looking at it like you would build a house, you know? When you first start off, the very first thing you do when you want to build a house is you need a good ground. You need a very good foundation, so that the house that you build on this foundation is stable and can perfectly thrive, you know? If you build, it doesn't matter how good the house that you would build on a shitty foundation would be. It doesn't matter. No matter how good the house is, the house will still start crumbling at some point if the foundation is shit, you know? And that's why, again, starting off in a gacha game is super important, and you have to have patience and discipline, and you have to obtain knowledge first before you spend any resources, before you build your foundation. Now, of course, you gotta know how to obtain this information, like where to look. And of course, what I would highly recommend you is, there are two very good ways. You can join my Discord server, and whenever you want to talk about this game, like casually, or you have any questions or stuff, you can hit me up in my Discord server. And like, I'm pretty much online 24/7, and I will always be available and answer you and help you out, including other players who are also very helpful. We have a pretty heartwarming and very nice community there. The best thing I can recommend to you is that you, whenever you have a question and whenever you want to talk about this game, you join my stream. I stream every single day for like at least 6 hours. I stream like 6 to 12 hours every single day on twitch.tv. Now, I don't stream Reverse1999 because there's no content in this game that you could stream, but it doesn't matter, you know? I play different games, for the time being mostly Pokemon Unite, but again, that doesn't matter. You can always come in there and you will always get my attention, and we can always talk about everything concerning Reverse1999 that you would want. Any question, any information, anything you want, I can provide it to you in the most great detail if you come to my stream and talk to me there. So, now that we have established that, we know like how to obtain the materials, how to upgrade our characters, what to look out for, and yeah, you have to obtain the knowledge yourself and what characters are good, what the teams are. Everything is also on my YouTube channel. I did meta breakdowns, tier list, poll plans, and everything is not only up to date, it goes into the future all the way up to version 2.8. I even did a kit showcase and breakdown for the newest available character, where the information dropped today, the new character Sentinel that drops in version 3.0. So not only is my YouTube account perfectly up to date, no, I go far into the future, and you can plan everything perfectly with 100% accurate information and base your decision making and what characters to pull for based on the information that my YouTube channel and I provide to you easily. Okay, let me put a little bit more emphasis on what I exactly mean when I say archetype. Like, what's the difference between an archetype and an Afflatus, you know? I can easily show you this. This Aleph character here is a perfect example, because this is a character that is pretty good, you know, but not for everyone. It is not a standalone character, and he's only viable to play. He would be extremely bad and completely useless if you wouldn't put him into the perfect team that all synergize around the archetype that this character is from. And this is, in this specific case here, is called impromptu. There are just a bunch of characters, a few characters actually, that all synergize around the mechanic about the archetype that we call impromptu. And so he has to be paired with very, very specific characters that also synergize with this impromptu archetype. And if you would put like this character Aleph right here into a team with no teammates that also synergize around this impromptu archetype, this character would be complete dog shit and 100% useless. So you know, that is why it's so incredibly important that you understand that this character belongs to the impromptu archetype. And if you would pull for him, then you commit. You need then his other teammates that also synergize around the impromptu archetype. One example would be Matilda, or right here in this selection, you would have to pull for Voyager as well, because Voyager is the sub DPS for this team. And yeah, another very, very good thing that I can tell you is that there is a character in this game called Baccarola. And Baccarola is the main DPS character for this impromptu archetype team. So if you don't have Baccarola, then it is out of question. You don't even have to consider or think about pulling for any other character that is from the impromptu archetype. Because if you already don't have the main DPS, then your entire team will be way too weak. Even if you commit to Aleph, you pull for Voyager, and you play them with Matilda. That is not extremely shitty, but it is also not on top of the meta, right? Because you lack the main DPS for this team. And another thing, like this character, Aleph right here. Again, he's played in the archetype team impromptu, and we already know because of the Chinese version that in version 2.7, so pretty soon, we will get access to a character called Keparina. And we would also 100% need to pull for this Keparina character to make this team as strong as it could be, so that it really fulfills the... It can become one of the best teams in the game if you have all the characters, you know? And I can already, like, spoiler alert, a lot of people, they won't understand this, they won't listen, and they will make mistakes and break their account a little bit, because they will go in and pull for this character Aleph because people tell them to. And then they either won't have resources to guarantee themselves a copy of Keparina next version, and or they will lack resources when we head into the Assassin's Creed collaboration, which we don't know anything about, so we might need resources there. And after that is the second anniversary. There's so much stuff that you have to pull for, that you have to have resources for after Aleph. Right? That's why I would recommend, like, of course it depends a little bit on how many resources you have, but in general I would not recommend pulling for this character, because you have to pull Keparina in the next version, you have to pull for Ezra, we have the Assassin's Creed collaboration, there's the second anniversary, you know, you can't have so many resources to make it worth it to pull for Aleph. But there are still people out there that say you should definitely pull for Aleph, right? Especially if you play impromptu. And this is what I mean with, Yeah, this is misinformation, definitely, no matter how you look at it. The second anniversary and Kiparina are much more important, and if you would pull for Aleph, you would take a risk. So, but that is a decision that is up to you. You make the decision who you listen to and what you base your information and knowledge and decision making around by yourself, right? No one can help you with that. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. So, like again, we know how to spend our stamina. We know what kind of information we have to get before we ever spend a single unilog. We know that we have to have patience and discipline to not break our foundation that we want to build our house on, our account on. Okay. There are a few more things I want to tell you about. Mainly when it comes to shopping. And yeah, we will also talk about like a daily rotation, a daily routine. So first of all, if you go to these events, every event, there will always be a shop. If you clear these stages here, you will obtain yourself a resource. And this resource you can spend in a shop. This one here behind Bar's Book Club is the shop for this event. Every event in every version will always have its own shop. And in this case, you always 100% of the time, every time, want to completely empty out this shop. This is very important. This is like, yeah, we talked about it. Story, quests, and then this. Yeah, those are like your priorities when it comes to how to spend your stamina. Cool. Now there are other events, like for example, Main's Bulletin. This is like kind of a boss rush. You will have 3 bosses here. You will beat them and you will obtain yourself again a resource, and you can visit a shop. And in this shop here, there are materials, and not all of those materials are equal when it comes to value. For example, gluttony. That is a resource in this game that is pretty scarce. And it is also a resource that you absolutely need a lot of, because this is what is needed to upgrade your Psycubes. I will show you what exactly Psycubes are and which one you should buy in just a second. So here, the number 1 priority is always to obtain yourself gluttonies. Other than that, crystal caskets are also very important for your resonance. I will show you that one as well in just a second. And all kinds of polarization items, like this one right here, HF polarization. You will always buy them every single time. There are also other shops that reset every single month, and you will always buy the polarizations out of those shops as well. First of all, let me show you what resonance is and what those crystal caskets are for. You can see here, wait, let me find the character. Here, see, there's something called here portray, and then we have resonance. Here you can build like a plan, is what it's called, to increase your stats to the maximum efficiency. But you can also level this up, and you should, like for supports, for healers, and most of the times even for your sub DPS, you should stop upgrading your resonance at like level 7 or level 8 every time before you use one of those crystals here. This one is called interlaced shutter, and you can see you need crystal caskets in order for you to obtain one of those crystals right here. Those are the 4 that you will always need depending on what character you upgrade the resonance for. And those are also very scarce. So you have to be very careful whenever you upgrade the resonance, at least past level 9. So most characters, your main DPS always go to level 9, and then consider if you would go further. Only go further than level 9 for characters that you are confident in, that they are future proof and they are your main DPS and they are your most important asset for your team. Like I did with my Lucy, I maxed that resonance out completely. For 37, my sub DPS, I would rather not do that. You know, she is Not exactly future-proof. I know she will be 100% replaced in all of my teams in version 2.8. So what's the point of upgrading her resonance now? I will do that later, in case she would get a good Euphoria update. But we don't know anything about that, so we can't base our decision-making around that, you know? And yeah, that's what you have to keep in mind there. Then yeah, we also have, of course, other shops. So since you play a gacha game, you should be in the mindset that you have to spend a little bit of money in this game, otherwise you will be left behind. That is not true for Reverse 1999 if you know what you are doing, if you do your research, if you have the discipline, and if you are not the gambling addict, you will be 100% fine. Like, you will do fantastic. Some people, when they see my account, they think I'm actually a whale, someone that spends a lot of money in this game, while I didn't even spend 10 bucks on this game yet. Yeah, I bought a garment and stuff, but that doesn't count. I did not spend money to make me stronger. I spent only like below 9 bucks to buy me a roaring month, and that's it. And then I bought a garment for 10 bucks for the character 6 that I like a lot, but this money doesn't make me stronger, you know what I mean? So you can do completely fine without ever spending a single dollar if you just know what you are doing. Still, there is something here for 100 bucks. No, I'm just kidding. No, there is one thing that is actually recommended that you buy, and you find this here in the shop in the teller machine, endless supply. And then you scroll all the way to the right and you will find a subscription here, this roaring month. This will cost you 5 bucks a month. Now, if you ask me, everyone should, especially if they play a gacha game, and have 5 bucks ready for their hobby per month to spend, right? I think this is not too much to ask for. And that's why I can confidently, highly recommend that you buy this roaring month subscription every single month for just 5 bucks, right? This is pretty reasonable if you ask me. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Go for that. That is by far the best bet for your buck. Nothing comes even remotely close, and you should have one of those roaring months active at all times. This belongs also in the beginner guide, because you pretty much immediately want to buy this no matter what. But yeah, like, take your time, check this game out a little bit and see if you want to play this a little bit, maybe long term, and then you can make your decision if you buy this roaring month. But you should buy this, like, if you already play this game for 2 weeks, let's say, then you are kind of committed to it, and then you buy this roaring month, right? You get the point. And then yeah, as I said, like, there are other stuff here. These reset every single month, as I already told you. Of course, there are shops. You see, this refreshes in 9 days, and here's a Unilog. That is the currency that you need to pull, so you're gonna buy this with the resources here. You buy the polarization items and everything that is farmable through like resource stages, insight stages, and so on and so forth. You don't need to necessarily buy those unless you like desperately need them and you don't have stamina ready to farm them. Then, alright. So this one right here, this costs too much, right? You would only ever use these when you absolutely have to like go for a pity or something. Then, yeah, here, this is a very important shop. Here are Psycubes. That is what you equip to your character. You can kind of view it as like a weapon for a character, so to speak. And yeah, while it is the case that whenever a new character drops, you always get access to its signature Psycube, to its best in slot Psycube for that character, either by purchasing it where in this shop right here, or you get it for free by simply doing the story event in the current version. Like right here, the character Aleph just released, and we get his best in slot Psycube right here, able to purchase it in this shop, you know, and that's what you want to do. The resource for this you gain by doing an analysis. I will show you this in just a second when we go through our daily routine. So now there are a few Psycubes that are actually highly recommendable, and that should be part of every single account. One example would be this luxurious Lisa right here, or a Psycube called Hopscotch would be very recommended. This one right here. The Inquisitive Deer is a really good Psycube. I think it was the one for healers. You can buy yourself, yeah, that Inquisitive Deer here, right there. Hopscotch right here, right? Those are Psycubes that should be part of every single round. And the Blasphemor of the Night is a very good Psycube. Brave New World is a very good Psycube, you know. But yeah, I did a video going over the best in slot Psycubes for every single character, and I made sure I included 2, and one of those will always be purchasable in the shop right there. So if you have a character where you cannot buy his signature Psycube in this shop, then go check out my video and I tell you a Psycube that is available in the shop that is very good for the character. I did go over every single character in this game and told you the best in slot Psycube and another best in slot Psycube that is purchasable here in the shop. So I will link that video in the description of this video so you can check it out there. And then here again, you go through all these shops and you see, like, yeah, those are all grindable materials. This is not what you would spend your resources on, but a crystal casket. You know, you come back here every single month. In 9 days, I will come back to this shop and buy this crystal casket again. And you have to do this every single month, right? Here, yeah, here is nothing special, right? Whenever you would need something, you would just buy it here. And yeah, this goes for like every single shop. Like, always check all the tabs and what is available for purchase. You do this once per month and then you're gonna be fine. You want to put emphasis on crystal caskets and gluttonies, plus, yeah, whatever you might need, or the polarizations that I showed you.
Thankfully, my body hasn't become rigid.
Then we can move on to our daily routine. Like, let's say you are either stuck or you want to log in, but maybe you don't have much time, you don't feel like playing this game today, but you want to grab the daily resources real quick. Okay, then you will want to do your daily activities. And this is very simple. How you clear this as fast as possible is you log in, click on the character to increase the bond. That will finish a quest. Then you go into your wilderness. I did a whole video covering everything about the wilderness, how to build it, how to set up routes, and so on and so forth. So I will also link that one in the description of this video. So if you want to build your wilderness efficiently, you can go check that video out. Yeah, this always, it takes a while to load. So yeah, patience. So here, you come in here, you click on this button to increase the bond, and you're gonna grab the 2 resources right here, the dust and the sharpened Donti. That's it. That will fulfill quests for you, daily quests, right? Then you go into, yeah, I mean, it depends. You go into like the story event or this event right here, right? Whatever you have to clear, wherever you did not clear out the shop right now. You enter it and you go to the very last stage that you cleared, and you choose the highest difficulty, of course, and you clear that one on autoplay. That will finish quests, that will give you resources to clean out the shop that is bound to the event. If you have all the events done, like this story event, the rerun event that we have right here, and the whole story is done, you know, then you can go here to either resource and farm dust and or sharpodonti. You also, of course, go to resource and you will clear this P analysis right here. You can always do this twice per day completely for free. Sometimes you should invest a little bit of stamina into it to clear it 4 times for 50 stamina. Depending on how you do with your Psycubes. If Psycube is not fully leveled up, go here, do it 4 times every single day, you know. Again, 2 times is for free and that would be enough to clear the quest. Yeah, if you have the rerun event, the story event, everything cleared, then you go into resource and you farm these 2 stages, as I said. You can also go to inside, get a material that you need, you know. You can go to your characters, you see, oh, I want to upgrade this character. Her inside is not cleared out, so I go here, click on the material, and then I spend my stamina and autoplay the stage that would give me the material that I need. You want to level it up, you need dust or Sharpodonty, you now know where to get it, you know. And that's how you do it. Oh, you want to upgrade the resonance, sure, but oh man, I missed this. I click on it, I see where to obtain it, and I clear the stage on autoplay. And that's your daily routine, and that's how you clear all of your dailies really fast. It takes like 2 or 3 minutes at max. And that's all about it, guys. Yeah, you clear the story, you know how to level up your characters, where to get all the materials, how to use your stamina, and the very most important part is get the knowledge, what characters are good, what archetype do you want to play, what is the team that you want to build, and gain information about what is happening right now, what is available to you in the future, and plan your unilogs accordingly. Never waste a single unilog, especially in the beginning. The first thing that you want to do is you want to build 2 good teams to at least be able to clear the artificial somnambulism, this limbo right here, every single time it resets, right? Same for the Lucidscape. You need 2 teams at first, and then later you will need a 3rd team, because as I told you, you will have to clear this Reveries in the Rain, and stages here are pretty difficult and they require you to have 3 teams instead of 2. And this is your very first objective. That is your very first goal, is to build 2 teams, then 3 teams. These teams, they have to be very good, they have to be meta, and they have to be future proof, because remember, you need a good foundation to build a house on. And that will be your foundation. Those will be your 3 teams. Then once you have your 3 teams and you clear all the content in this game without too much of a headache at least, then you can build your house, right? Then you can not be a meta slave anymore. Now you have your meta teams, now you have your meta characters, now you can clear all the content. And then you can get a little bit silly and pull for the characters that you would like, that are maybe not the best, but you love them for whatever reason. How they look, you know how it is. The waifus, the husbandos. Maybe a character has a very cool personality or whatever you like about that character. Maybe you like the character because of his storyline or whatever it might be. Then you can get silly. But when you first start, right, I put a lot of emphasis on this, and I will say it again. You have to pull for the metas and for good characters. Otherwise, you will not have as much fun with this game as you could have. Maybe you will even get tired out, and you will maybe stop this game or turn into a crybaby on Reddit, you know? And that is not what you want. So play the meta, focus on the good characters, get your account ready, your foundation, your house. And once you have all that, then you can go for the waifus and the husbandos. And that's gonna be about it, guys. Now you should know everything that you have to know, future planning, yada yada. I hope that was fun and informative. If you like Reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.